We are all painfully aware of the tragedy to strike Japan in the last few months and the disasters to follow, the earthquake and tsunami, including the leaking of the Fukushima power plant. Now, this brings back very clear echoes of the 1986 disaster in Chernobyl. It contaminated a band of 30 kilometers around the site. In 1998, the Ukraine Institute for Vast Crops commenced with what may be its most important project ever: the planting of industrial hemp for the removal of contaminants in the soil around Chernobyl. By acting as filters or traps, plants such as hemp are able to break down organic pollutants and stabilize metal contaminants. Dr. Slavik Dozhendov, a research scientist involved with the Chernobyl cleanup, said hemp is proving to be one of the best phytoremediative plants they have found. The research showed that high levels of heavy metals in soil do not impair hemp growth, and that the yield and fiber quality does not differ from those obtained on regular soils. Phytoremediation can be used to clean up metals, pesticides, solvents, explosives, crude oil, and hemp has shown to have huge benefits as a mop crop in Australia when treating sewage effluent. They treat about 10 million litres of effluent per hectare. If we look at what is happening around Johannesburg, especially on the mines in the Krugersdorp area, where there's a high level of radiation as a result of acid mine drainage, hemp could assist greatly in remediating contaminated soils in these areas. One of the main factors holding back the use of industrial hemp is its confusion with marijuana. Unlike its cousin, however, it only contains trace elements of tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC. In other words, it cannot make you high. Despite this, however, when we see the picture of a hemp leaf, a smoke screen is thrown up, which has prevented us from really engaging the full potential of this plant. My shirt and trousers, for example, are made of hemp. They're very comfortable, durable and very strong, and of course sustainable. And as you know, the word for shirt in Afrikaans is hemp, and you may have wondered why. Well, quite simply, shirts were originally made out of hemp. Hemp is fast becoming a premier building material. It is prized for its lightness, its negative carbon rating and thermal properties. It is widely accepted in Europe, and in the UK in particular, the government is building estates and homes using industrial hemp. Even Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, recently built a home using thermal hemp materials. Who knows, perhaps Catherine and William will follow suit. This man, Tony Budden, and his business partner, Duncan Parker, are classic examples of two businessmen passionate about a cause. They've been lobbyists and activists since 1996 for the use of industrial hemp through the application of a variety of innovative products. The overall aim, however, is to promote legislative change in South Africa. Now, Tony, thanks very much for joining us. Why industrial hemp?
Dominic, in my mind, the real question should be, why not hemp? You know, we've got so many uses for this plant, from building materials to clothing, textiles, paper, the nutrition side of the hemp seed. And recently, another use for hemp that's coming back to the forefront is hemp as a phytoremediation crop. All of these different really sustainable resources that we can get from one plant, and outlawing hemp because some people do get high off certain varieties of cannabis makes no sense whatsoever. It's the same as saying that all grapes are alcohol. Grapes are a resource and hemp is a resource. We can control those cultivars that do make you high while allowing the industrial hemp varieties and enabling farmers to grow a crop that can give them fiber, can give them biomass, and can give them seed, and to build so many jobs down the line, and that's really what we've been pushing for.
Tony, tell us about the hemp products that you are showcasing here.
This is new technology coming out of an ancient way of building, coming out of Europe. We are using the hemp stalk to make hempcrete, mixing it with lime. It's completely organic and breathable. And then using hemp insulation. It's a hollow fiber. It's fiber grass instead of fiberglass. All hemp carpets looks very similar to sisal and coir carpet, but it's a lot softer. It's a lot more comfortable to walk on. The hemp covered chairs and the hemp curtains, and then also things like the lampshade made from hemp twine. And then we're also using hemp chipboard. So we're saying we don't need to cut down trees to make chipboard. 50% of the walls behind me were grown in 3 to 4 months. Now, there's no other resource that can really do that. We cannot carry on the extractive way of building, of mining products out of the earth. We have to look at sustainable ways of getting the resources we need. The next level on with the market, once we're growing in South Africa, is the low-cost alternative for RDP housing.
What has been the greatest difficulty that you faced?
Dominic, one of our main challenges has been changing the perception towards cannabis or hemp. But luckily, with the tangible side of hemp, with being able to touch and feel the hemp clothing, with being able to see the hemp house and come here and experience it, it's quick to change that perception. This morning we invited a group that we actually presented to before we started the project, and I think it went very well. They were all quite impressed by what they saw.
This house has only been being built for the last 2.5 weeks, and you can see the amount of work that's been done in it. And with our backlog of the number of houses that we need to build for low-cost housing in the country is astronomical. And the hemp house here in Noordhoek is a great example of what can be done for the future and what governments should look at.
I'm very excited about hemp building in South Africa and the low embedded carbon in the building materials used compared to conventional building materials. We really need to reduce emissions because households account for about 40% of emissions globally on a daily basis. Hardly any carbon is emitted at all from hemp. If anything, it's sequestered.
One of the other challenges for us as a company has been that we're having to import all our products. And this makes no sense. We would love to be sourcing our products here, and it's a whole new industry that's waiting to be birthed.
Tony, is hemp considered a threat to the nylon and cotton industries?
Well, funnily enough, you asked that. The history of the criminalization of industrial hemp goes back to the 1930s in the United States, when nylon had just been invented, and all these natural fibers, they wanted to replace it with nylon. And also the cotton industry obviously saw hemp as a threat. Industrial hemp creates 250% more fiber than cotton. Because it's so tall, it grows up to 4 meters high in 4 months. And cotton's a really short plant. And because it doesn't need the amount of pesticides, amount of fertilizers that cotton needs, it is competition for it. The synthetic industry is polluting our oceans. And we need to move back to natural resources that do biodegrade after their use is finished. We are using products that last too long.
The interest has to do with shifting the construction paradigm from an industry that's really based on non-renewables and shifting that to renewables.
They did an eco-audit in Canada where they grew 1 hectare of hemp and 1 hectare of conventional cotton. And the results showed that hemp saved water, energy, agrochemicals, land use as well, because you're getting 250% more fiber off a hectare. And the more hemp they grow, the more farmland opens up.
And tell us, how does hemp compare to bamboo as a sustainable industrial plant?
Obviously, bamboo is an amazing resource as well. It grows really fast, it doesn't need agrochemicals, but to actually process it, to get the fibers out of the bamboo stalk is really difficult. You've got to treat it chemically to break down the fibers. It's not a very eco-friendly process, but it still is a step in the right direction. The other issue with bamboo is it's a category 1 alien. Wherever you put it, you'll never get it out. With hemp, it's a lot more manageable because it's an annual plant and it dies off every year. You can contain hemp in an area a lot more easily.
Now, it seems, Tony, that all your hard work over the years actually seems to be paying off. The people who can bring about legislative change are actually doing so. And it's because of the amazing products you've been able to show and various projects. And this being your latest one, the house that Hemp built. Now, Tony, word has it that you convinced Tasneem Essop, the Minister of Environmental Affairs here in the Western Cape, to pass around a hemp brick during a budget speech. With the product becoming so popular, why has it been so difficult to actually build a house?
We had these samples that we would take into meetings with people like Tasneem Essop, and we would see that's when their eyes lit up. Because housing is such a real need in South Africa. The reason it's taken us so long to do it ourselves is because we had to raise the finances. The government wanted to see the houses before they would really look at changing legislation. It's been a 4 or 5 year project since we decided we were going to build this house. We were lucky at the time we partnered with Erwin van der Weert from Perfect Places because he had this modular building system that fitted perfectly with what we wanted to do with hemp.
Tony, what is the legislative status in South Africa pertaining to the growing of industrial hemp?
Currently, the permit to grow hemp resides with the Department of Health. It is still a permit to grow a narcotic drug. The aim is to get hemp into Department of Agriculture.
More than 30 countries are growing industrial hemp, and the system works. Its use around the world would mean a massive shift in terms of our carbon footprint. Its use for phytoremediation could prove to be invaluable.
Visiting the first hemp house in South Africa has been a great experience, and certainly a very enlightening one. It seems to me that this really is an opportunity we cannot let slip by. In other words, the use of alternative building materials, especially if we are serious about a sustainable future. To me, it's proof that you don't have to go and live in a teepee in some remote eco-village to make a difference. Perhaps all it'll take is rethinking the resources we are using to build the world around us. Let's hope that this valuable plant is once again recognized and used at this time of exploitation and continued degradation of our planet.